Hey everybody, welcome to the pregame for SFAL. I'll share this out so people can join in. And we're not going to have a mock. I guess I can wait till a couple people join to start talking about that. So I created the actual draft room. It's not. I should have realized that. It probably wouldn't let us do a mock at that point. So we can just look in the actual draft room and sort of talk about connections and things. Share the screen. All right. Let's take a look here. So James is in here. Let's take a look. Okay. John. Hey, John.
Hey, hello there, Anthony.
How you doing today?
Hanging right in there, buddy.
Great. Here's Bob. Hey, Bob. How are you today? Cool. Just seeing James's. We're looking in the actual draft room right now. And yeah, it wants me to assign James. Which is fine. And James goes to Minnesota, I believe. Just make sure. Yep. So, okay, should be set now. So, we're not going to have a mock. I should have anticipated it, that once I set up the actual draft room, that would be difficulty setting up a mock. We could set up one off to the side outside the clubhouse, but I don't know how helpful that will be. We can do it, though. If you guys just want to practice bidding for whatever reason, just let me know. We can do that. It'll look not exactly like our draft later today, but very close. So just let me know, either of you. In the meantime, are you in the, let's see if you can just make sure you're in the regular draft room. It seems like everybody's had no problem getting there.
I believe I am. I look at it and it says player on the block, so I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I am.
Good. And what team are you guys again? Just remind me.
I'm Dallas.
Dallas?
I'm the New Orleans Saints.
And, okay, don't see the Saints in there. So let's see, John. Let's, does it show you as green in there, John?
I guess that's who the heck.
What's that?
Oh, I'll go. Let me go in.
Yep.
I'll go. Let me get in. You want me to get into that website?
Yep. Just head into the draft room. I just hit a link there. we're just going to write. James, make sure he's set. So just going to, as you guys get in there, just going to, first of all, answer any questions you have top of your head. Happy to answer them.
Okay. By the way, I go by Bob. It's James Robert, but a lot of my official paperwork stuff's James. But in all the other leagues I'm in, everybody knows me as Bob. So.
Heard. Thank you. Great. So we're just going to go ahead and change that over here. Good. Okay. Good.
What cigar are you smoking?
This is Macanudo Spirito,
Nice.
which is a nice light one.
Yeah, I'm an asylum guy, but I don't smoke in the house per the wife's rules.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I have a bunch of asylums myself. I'm with you there. The usually those are off my football cigars because if it's an 8-hour day or 10-hour day or 12-hour day, if Hawaii's on of watching football, it's good to have the big ones.
Yeah, asylum's a good long smoke.
Yeah. During COVID, we built out this room here in our basement for a cigar room.
Nice.
And slowly but surely improved it more and more. Now we have a full ERV in here now, which literally pulls. Of course, we have like a bathroom fan in here, which is pulling things out, but that pulls smoke out at a rapid pace and then replaces it with fresh air. So
very nice.
But my wife likes to say it's less smoky in the house when I'm smoking a cigar than when we're out on the porch.
Nice, good setup.
Which is nice. Especially because the smoke goes outside. If she's sitting in a certain spot, she's like, "What? how is it all of a sudden our house has no smoke, but I get smoke on the outside?" All right, Michael, welcome aboard, Mr. Stucci. Good to see you this morning.
Hello, thank you. Good to see you and everyone else.
I'm just saying we're not going to have an actual mock. Let's make sure you get into the room. Looks like you're good. See, Minnesota's in there now. So, Bob, you're Dallas, right?
Bob?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm Dallas.
Okay.
Where right now I show you as not in there. I'm just. Is there? Are you doing it on your phone? Or are you doing it on your?
I am doing the draft on my phone. Yes.
Okay, good. That's a perfect segue. So
I've got it separate from everything else.
Got it. So what I noticed on my phone works great. Just keep it up. Like when I would navigate away from it on my screen, it would turn me into a robot.
Sure.
Which is fine because of course you're not going to be actually auctioning when it's not on your screen. By definition, it has to be literally on your screen for you to be able to do anything. But when you come back to it, it'll say you're disconnected. You just refresh and you'll be there. Ideally, in the auction, if you're going to use your phone, you just want to, for the most part, keep it up, on your phone. It's not going to, like I said, once you go back to it, you just hit refresh and you're back in, and it's not an issue. And so we're just going to walk.
Reloading that for sure.
Okay. Just walking through connectivity. We've had good connectivity. Just one problem with one owner so far. So I've been happy about that. And there's Bob. Bob is back, just as we thought he'd be. So that's good. So Dallas is green again. Let's just walk through some scenarios and make sure everybody's sort of ready for that, so we can hopefully avoid. Hey, Paul. Hopefully we can avoid unnecessary slowdowns during the auction. Another something else is joined.
I got messed up a little bit with my website, but anyway, I'm in there and I'm highlighted in green. The Saints.
Great. Excellent. Yep. See there.
Sorry about that.
So, sorry guys, it's hard to get a word out here without somebody writing. I do want to get back to Mike on this one. Great. We'll do right after this broadcast. Okay. So ideally, an ideal world, and most of us, 95% of us should have no problem if we want to go on our computer, connect, log in, hit the draft link, and you'll be in and you'll be set, and there'll be no problems. If you do run into a problem, the best, most reliable backup, which present no problems at all, is to go on your smartphone, hit the link, the drafty link, the same draft room, the same link you hit before, go in, log into your account, it'll take you right to the draft room, and you should be good. If ideally, the cleanest connection is cellular, so you turn your internet off and just run it cell on your phone, you'll have it right there. If that happens, we should be able to also, by the way, you can run everything right there, but if you just like to be able to look at your computer while you're auctioning too, we do have the functionality of assigning two owners to one team. It's in beta, and we're going to be testing it soon here, but that would even give you the functionality of being able to watch the auction on your computer as you typically would, and just do your bidding on your phone. Easy peasy, really no issue there. As we were saying with Bob just a second ago, when you are on your phone, when you navigate away from, let's say your wife calls or something, and you navigate away on your phone, it'll technically disconnect you from the draft, but you're on the phone anyway. You're not going to be bidding, so it's not an issue. Once you get back there, you say, okay, here I am, hit refresh, and you're back in, and you can take care of that. And you'd be able to bid just like normal. So that should give us what would be a good solid setup. Any questions about any of that?
No, not at all.
Great.
The budget, incidentally, that budget video was excellent. It was very good.
Yes.
Thanks.
And I'll tell you something, it is tight.
It is.
You look at the numbers in that. You got to be very careful here. Like you said, you blow your wad on a middle linebacker or a nose tackle, like you said, and man, I tell you, all of a sudden you wind up with zeros all over the place.
Yeah. That is a good discussion to have unto itself, John. It really is just about strategy, and all of us, I think. My mindset, probably most of you guys, is okay. I want a good quarterback, a good halfback, and then no holes, right? I want no holes on the line. I want no holes on D. I think we all are, sort of astute enough to realize that you can't have all-stars everywhere, right? But as long as you don't have holes, you think you'll be okay with a good battery of a quarterback and halfback. But even that, John, is difficult to achieve, right? In a 2014 league, it's not necessarily going to be easy to do.
No.
If you overspend. The more I look at it, if I had to predict, what should be the highest price player, boy, I find it hard. I find it hard to spend more than 50 on anybody.
And also you got to take in consideration what he's going to cost you in the future if you sign him up for a couple more years, for 3 or 5 years or something, Then all of a sudden, you got to take a look at that into consideration, because that's coming out of your budget for the next draft.
That's right. Unless you cut him, you just do a one and done. Yeah, I mean, you'd like to build a team for the future, build a team to last, right?
Exactly.
And guys who are 50 are going to be tough to keep. They're going to have to be truly outstanding players.
And bear in mind, if you cut him, you can still get hit with a charge.
What's that?
If you cut him, you're going to get hit though on a salary cap by cutting him.
Not the first year.
In some places, right?
So if you were to sign somebody to a contract, so in the first year, so we're going to have this auction here, and let's say you get Justin Herbert for 50. Let's just use that number, and you want to cut him in this next auction, there's no charge for that to cut him for the next auction. That's okay.
Okay.
If in the year that you can sign him to a contract and you increase his salary up to whatever it might be, I forget, like 65 or whatever.
Right.
If you cut him under contract, then that's when you can get penalties.
Okay. I got you.
Yep. So it obviously, just like Strat, all of us are very much used to this, right? You sort of have the advantage of being able to keep somebody for a long time, but you got to introduce some sort of disadvantage. And that disadvantage is if he does fall flat on his face, well, you'll be hit with a penalty.
Yeah.
But that's only if you make that decision to sign into a contract.
Absolutely.
In a couple of years. Yep.
Good. Thank you.
Sure. So it's none of us really want to talk about our values in any detail. Obviously, you've seen me be very, very forthright about everything. I'm looking out for the good of the league best I can. But I'm not going to give you, what I think the six nose tackle should go for. I'm not going to get that explicit right now.
Just give us a list of your budget. That's all. by position, and we'll go from there. We don't need to know what player.
Yeah, exactly. Share your other screen.
We'll know when the guard comes up if we're going to outbid you or not for the guy.
I made
my
sure.
budget to be. I'm expecting my budget to be completely screwed within 30 minutes. So yeah.
It's it's so much fun, really, because you'll hear me say last night, be careful in that first hour, don't get starstruck. But then when I say something like that, if everybody listens, there might be good bargains in the first hour, right? Because everyone's being so conservative. It's these real-time adjustments that make it most interesting. But here's how it typically goes. Typically, you're going to find awesome bargains once you get through maybe 150 players or so. You still have great guys out there.
Yep.
And people have spent their money, and all of a sudden you're able to get starter after starter after starter at $15. That's typically how it goes. And ideally, you guys, you want to set yourself up to be one of those people who can sweep up all those guys at that time for 15. I wish I could just sort of off the top of my head come up with a real world idea of what that would be. Let me just think. Okay, so Tyreek Hill, might go for 37 or 38 or even more. But if you get Keenan Allen, an hour and a half later for 14 or something, oh, that's huge. Because you're getting Keenan Allen plus a $20 player, right? Plus 20 something of salary saved for Tyreek Hill. Great deal. Awesome bargain. Yeah, you're not getting the long passing. Obviously, it's nominally a worse card, but overall, that's the sort of position you want to be in, because the guy who has Tyreek is probably hurting, thinking about a second receiver. And a couple other things to keep in mind too is as you realize how thin this is. And, I hesitate to give away a lot of draft strategy or auction strategy, but again, for the good of the league, yak is really important. Yak is a way, with yak on, most draft leagues don't have yak on. Yak is a way to produce offense without paying a lot for the cards. Flat passing is important. Pass rush is important. When you sort of create your team, what kind of team do I want with this limited budget? There's a case to be made with enough EA yaks out there that, okay, well, I can go not spend big on my pass blockers, set up more of a flat passing team with great yaks, and I can probably put together a great offense without having to spend in a number of different positions to set up that great offense. That's just one strategy. Okay. You could also go for a run game strategy, which is obviously a zag versus the zig of this whole set, right? You could just go for the typical offense that we see out there for most of the stock teams, which is, high-powered offenses, good pass blocking. That might be an expensive strategy, though. Might be. We can see how it plays out. Defense, it's like, well, what rating do you want to go for, right? I mean, you're probably going to look to have the ambitions of good is probably a pretty costly ambition to have. So if you had to pick one, what do you want to be, and shape your auction strategy around that? Be opportunistic, of course. If you go good comes to be, you go after it. But you probably want to have a bias instead of being all over the place, right? Paying a lot for the nose and then paying a lot for a cornerback. If that means you have to skimp on everything else, that means you're probably ending up with average, is the point I'm trying to make. Synchronicity among the guys that you buy, right, is important, especially on D. That all makes sense? Yeah. And you probably have all figured that out, but I just want to make sure that we get that sort of thing out there. Any other questions come to mind?
Anthony, a question on the usage.
Mm-hmm.
What do we have set up as far as the league is concerned, as far as usage is concerned?
I
forget. There's some restrictions you have in there. I think it's.
Yes.
I can't recall off the top of my head. I'm just wondering about that, and how important that's going to be in relation to drafting certain players.
Yep. Just pull up the. I'm going to pull up the charter. Just sort of walk through it. By the way, anybody who's good, who'd like to drop, feel free to drop. Not that I'm encouraging you to, but there's not going to be some crescendo here. Everybody has to be here in this broadcast. So just so you know. Okay, so let's go to the rules first. The rules that are turned on. Right here. All different ways to sort of categorize usage, right? So first of all, player over usage, right, which is typically used in stock leagues, right? The 110, 150%,
right,
that sort of thing. That's not on. That's off. So player over usage is off, and that's for hopefully what is obvious reasons to you. Stock teams are created a certain way, and over usage makes sense when you're dealing with, okay, I have a low usage, halfback here, but or a low carry kind of guy, but I have an exempt quarterback. You make your team work in a stock context. It doesn't work so well in draft leagues, so that's why that is off, and so is QB overusage. But running back fatigue is on, right? And that is a driver of overusage to a certain extent, right? So when you hit your threshold of carries for your guy, he's going to get a halo around him, and it's going to be -1 yard for a couple carries, and then it goes on and on, as you know. Related to that is that those that are overused or fatigued can get injured more. Yes, they can. So look out for that. But remember that injuries are only max of 1 game.
Right.
So, it's not going to get you injured for a number of games, but you might lose them for the game
Okay.
that you're in. The low usage running back containment is on. And Strat has been very frustrating with this. Anybody who's operating, especially in a stock league now, like ours in the USFFL, it's very annoying. They have not been clear about this sort of stuff. We do know that they did not adjust low usage running back for a 17 game season. It's pretty much the same as last year, whatever that threshold is. Was it 68? I forget the exact carry number.
So has, like, for instance, 68. I think it's 68 carries. I think he's okay. You're all right. Yeah. Kind of below that, then you have a problem. So the minute you have 68 or above, then as far as the carries per game is that you go to that chart they have down at the bottom.
68
then it's broken. 68 and above, it's based on how many carries they have, how many carries they can have per game
before they get fatigued. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I always get a little confused on that aspect of it. You know what I mean? Now on the receiver side of it, now in our league, a receiver who has a quart of let's say 10 receptions, is he going to be restricted?
He's not restricted.
Okay. All right. I thought so. I know it's kind of a dumb question. I apologize, but I just, I wanted to get that, so there's no restrictions at all as far as that's concerned, but there are restrictions on running backs.
Correct in terms of usage.
Okay.
The one key receiver quote unquote restriction is the longest catch rules are enabled.
Okay.
So
I
you
got
can't just throw anybody out there and hit a 0-man long gain, and go 80 yards.
Yeah, that makes sense. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's fine. So
And
I'm pretty good, Anthony. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, you know what I mean? And what I did is I assigned dollar amounts all the way down. And you know what? And I also watched Moneyball. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to stick to a budget and that's it. I'm going to see how chips fall.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm not going to deviate from my budget. I'm going to stick to the budget. At least I'm going to try 100% to do it. You know what I mean? And I'll see what type of team I can form on that. Look, put it this way. You're going to have the same amount of money as I want. You know what I mean? I'm going to kind of, I guess what I'm looking at is more of a balanced type of team. You know what I mean? And we'll all have our perception as what we want to form too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that's the interesting part about it, And I think the
There's
other thing is that you need to always kind of like bid in there because you don't want somebody like get steals too at the same time.
Right.
The psychological aspect of the auction may come into play,
It absolutely will come into play. Yes, no doubt about it.
Especially from the very beginning, may set the tempo for the pricing for a while before things settle down.
Yes.
I mean, all of a sudden you have somebody come up there, like Herbert or something like that. And somebody starts like $60. Like, whoa, okay. Now what? Now, what's Rodgers going to be now?
Mm-hmm.
Think about. I mean, is he going to be 100? But what about But people sometimes react, to that.
Yes.
And you panic because there's just so many tackles left. Let's just say you need a tackle to get you to maybe a good. You know what I mean?
Right.
So all of a sudden now you get yourself in a real dilemma if you don't have any money to get that, So
yes,
it's gonna be fun. So no, I'm good, Anthony. Really.
Good. And just to finish off though, the on the containment and usage stuff.
Yeah.
Other factors surrounding it, of course, is injury. And again, just max one game. The quarterbacks as well, right? So I think everybody understands this, but 100 or higher, like most draft leagues. That's we sort of have the standard rule there. And as I've explained a lot in the last couple of days about the QB1s, yes, you can take on more than 2 QB1s, but you're going to be subject to that max, not min. I misspoke in a previous video. You're subject to that max of 2 immediately post auction. So yeah, you can. It's nice not to be shut out of bidding on a quarterback. Once you reach 2, you can bid, but you're just not going to be able to keep. You have to drop one of them.
Yeah,
immediately after the auction. But that's it. Yeah, that covers it all in terms of usage. So thanks, sir.
Yeah, Anthony, I had a question. What's your definition of a lone kick returner and a lone punt returner? How many returns do they need?
Let's see.
I don't think that was listed in there. Yeah, that's the section I was looking at. I don't have the number of returns that we need.
I don't think it's based on returns. I think it's whether they share the card or not, right? Or they're a KR1. Let me instead of digging in, there's an answer here somewhere. Let me I'll post it right after, Mike.
Sure, no problem.
Get clarity on that. And oh, by the way, I think Mike brings up a really good point here about how you manage your roster, right? Of just 46. Tell you what, those guys who do multiple things matter a lot in this league.
Right, you can get an extra player. Right.
Yep.
I can. You save draft spot. On there.
Save spots, you save points, you save everything, right?
So if you have an LP and an LK, that's just one guy. He covers you on both sides, the kickoff and the punt returns. Otherwise, then you have to have separate. Actually two in each category, don't you?
Yeah. So it's huge. Yep.
That's a lot of
roster spots. It could take you 4 roster spots to fill that, or there's some players that are both lone kick returners and punt returners.
Yep.
Yes.
It's like a Jalen Waddle, right? Is he a lone punt? I forget, but just to pretend that he is for a second, that's
saves 3 roster spots, right?
Yeah. What a bonus! You get a good receiver for the future.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You get, obviously he's kicking butt this year so far. You get a decent card this year, and you get, and you save roster spots, so you get to have other guys come with him. Right? It's super, super helpful. So I will get back to you on that, Mike, or I'll get back to everybody on that. Make it clear, just so it's clear. This is an important point because it's come up a couple times. You do not have to be in the Zoom room later on. Not a requirement at all. At all. The only requirement is that you're in the draft room, right? You can be like Willie. Willie's going to be home now, but he was going to be at a Miami game on his phone bidding. Fine. They would have worked just fine. He doesn't need to be plugged in and listening to stuff. I think it's going to be very difficult for 24 people to talk to each other anyway in a Zoom room. So I'm going to have to stay in it. But some of you guys, if I were you, I would say, if it's getting super sort of, just bail out if you want, and if it's just getting to be too much noise, that you don't have to be there by any stretch. All the communications are going to be, and this is a good opportunity to point this out where this is. All the communications are right here in this draft chat area. Okay, right here. The official communications of the draft will happen here. Maybe Mike, you or Dennis, one of you guys can, if anything important rolls through here, just copy and paste it into Slack just to make sure people see it, because of the pop-ups that people get. But the official stuff is going to happen here. This roster thing down here, you can see everybody's roster. It's kind of helpful. Yeah. But, I like to put the summary on instead, which we see the chronological stuff of what happened. And then if I need rosters, I'd prefer to hover over the teams. Okay. To me, that's a better use of the screen. So you can hover over the teams and see their roster. And then instead of have this rosters up, which is a little bit clunky.
Yeah.
Put the summary up instead. That's just preference. Not a big deal. And then here you can see this draft activity, people coming in, coming out. It's worth noting a couple things. If there's no other questions for now. Number one, something will go wrong. I will likely have to make a judgment call that technically will hurt somebody a little bit, help somebody else a little bit. Probably. It's probably going to happen. Just know that I need to ask for as much leniency as you guys can give in your hearts to that, because it's inevitable. The first time we're doing this, something that is not ideal will happen. If it's anything as big, of course, we'll sit down, we'll talk about it, we'll figure it out. But little stuff like that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna, just in general, probably gonna need some degree of patience as we work through and get used to it. But and finally, it might just not work for whatever reason, right? Everybody gets in there and there's just too many interruptions, and we're going to be, auctioning until Christmas. If that happens, it happens, and I hope it doesn't. But we all have to realize that's a possibility too. Knowing this is the first time we're doing something like this. Last thing I'll say on that sort of point is, this is the only time we'll have to do thousands of players like this. We just got to do this once. Once we get through it, every other auction from this point forward for every year forever is so much easier, because it's such a small player pool going forward of just a few cuts, keep up to 40 guys. There might just be 6 players per team, plus the rookies that are coming out every year. Every auction after this is going to be super short, faster probably than any draft that we're in any draft league. But this first one, going to be a bit of a slog. It's going to move fast. It's going to be difficult to be able to, in some ways, keep up sometimes, right? That's this first one. It's a nature of the beast. So roll with it. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be worth it for us to get through it, because we're going to have what's going to be a pretty cool league when we're done. But this is the necessary evil, so to speak. It's also a lot of fun to build a team from scratch. There's a plus side to it. But the downside to it is it's a slog. This first one's going to be a slog. All right. Any other questions, problems, concerns? Oh, we got one from the dog. Great. All right, everybody. We'll see you about 3:40 p.m.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. Have a good one.
been watching CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League.